Not every confession in life is shouted for the whole world to hear. Sometimes, the words that change everything are spoken in a whisper. They slip out quietly, without the drama of big gestures, but they land with more power than any speech ever could. Johnny Depp gave the world one of those moments. It wasn't a line from a script. It wasn't an act, a performance, or a carefully planned quote. It was raw. It was honest. It was deeply personal. And in that fragile moment, Johnny didn't sound like the actor who had carried decades of Hollywood on his shoulders. He sounded like a man. A man who had been through storms, who had carried scars, and who was finally ready to say the words that had lived in his heart for too long. He whispered, "My love. I'm ready for forever." At first, it sounds simple, doesn't it? Just a tender line. Something anyone in love might say when they're caught up in the moment. But when you know Johnny's story, when you understand the battles he's fought, those 6 words hit differently. They're not just a romantic promise. They're a declaration of survival. They're proof of healing. They're courage turned into words. For someone like Johnny, who has carried so much pain and faced so much judgment, to stand in front of love and say, "I'm ready for forever," is to admit that he's finally willing to trust again. And if you've ever had your heart broken, you know how hard that can be. Johnny's life has been anything but quiet. The world has seen him at his highest points and at his lowest. He's been celebrated as one of the most gifted actors of his generation, adored for characters that became cultural icons, and he's also been dragged through storms that would break almost anyone. We've seen headlines, courtrooms, whispers, betrayals, heartbreaks, and moments that seemed too heavy to bear. Through it all, he kept moving, kept creating, kept pouring himself into his art. But there's something different about love. Art can be an escape. Fame can be a mask. But love? Love requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is the one thing the world often teaches us to hide. Think about it for yourself. How many times have you stopped yourself from saying how you truly feel because you were afraid? Afraid of rejection, afraid of loss, afraid of opening a wound you worked so hard to heal? Most of us know that feeling. We build walls around our hearts, convincing ourselves it's safer that way. We avoid confessions because they make us feel exposed. Yet here's Johnny, a man who's often seen as untouchable, as strong, as rebellious, standing in front of someone he loves and stripping away the walls. No roles. No characters. No masks. Just Johnny. And in that moment, instead of hiding, he chose honesty. Instead of protecting himself, he chose to risk it all for love. That isn't weakness. That's strength most of us can only hope to find. What makes it even more powerful is the timing. He didn't say those words in a scripted moment. There was no camera rolling, no spotlight, no applause waiting at the end. This wasn't a speech to impress anyone. It was a whisper, intimate and fragile. And maybe that's what makes it unforgettable. Because the truest things in life don't need an audience. They only need courage. Johnny has played countless characters on screen. Jack Sparrow with his wild unpredictability. Edward Scissorhands with his quiet pain. Willy Wonka with his eccentric charm. Each role had its own mystery, its own walls, its own story. But the role that mattered most in this moment wasn't a role at all. It was himself. It was Johnny choosing to say what he really felt, choosing to drop the act, choosing to trust that his words would be enough. Fans around the world felt the ripple of that confession. Some said it gave them hope again. Others admitted it reminded them of their own moments of love and loss. People replayed those words in their heads because they weren't just Johnny's story. They were universal. That's the magic of honesty, it doesn't stay with the person who speaks it. It touches everyone who hears it. And that's where the beauty of it lies. Johnny's confession wasn't just about him. It was about all of us. Because when you hear those words, "My love, "I'm ready for forever," you start to wonder about your own life. Are you ready for forever? Are you ready to stop running from love? Are you brave enough to let someone in, even when it scares you? His words become a mirror. They reflect our fears, our hopes, our desires, and our longing for something lasting. Forever is a big word. It's scary. It's overwhelming. It means commitment. It means no more running, no more half-hearted attempts. And maybe that's why it matters that Johnny said it. Because for years, he's been the man who walked his own path. The artist who lived by no one else's rules. The rebel who never quite fit into Hollywood's box. Vulnerability wasn't part of that image. Yet here he was, ready for forever. If he can find that courage, maybe we can too. When you think about it, his words carry 3 powerful lessons. The first is that healing takes time. Johnny didn't wake up one day and decide to trust again. It took years. It took pain, silence, reflection, and resilience. And maybe that's the reminder we all need, that it's okay if we're not ready yet. It's okay to take time. Forever doesn't have a deadline. It waits until you're truly ready. The second lesson is that forever doesn't come dressed in grand gestures. It's not about diamonds, weddings, or red carpets. It's about the small, quiet promises you make when no one else is watching. It's about whispers, about glances, about the courage to stay even when it's hard. Johnny's words were simple, but they meant everything. And that simplicity is what made them powerful. The third lesson is that vulnerability isn't weakness. We live in a world that often confuses the two. People think that hiding emotions makes them strong. That silence means strength. But the truth is, strength is in being brave enough to be honest. Strength is in letting someone see your scars and trusting that they won't run away. Johnny showed us that. By choosing to confess, he proved that love isn't for the faint of heart. It's for the brave. And let's not forget, this came from Johnny Depp. The same man who's built a career on mystery, rebellion, and complexity. For him to drop all of that and say something so soft, so intimate, made the world stop. Because in that one line, he wasn't a star. He wasn't a character. He wasn't an icon. He was simply a man who wanted love. Just like the rest of us. That's why the moment has stayed with people. It wasn't about Hollywood. It wasn't about fame. It was about being human. And maybe that's why it broke through the noise. Because we're all searching for that, connection, honesty, something lasting. Johnny's words gave people permission to believe in it again. So what about you? When was the last time you let yourself be vulnerable? When was the last time you admitted what you really wanted, even if it scared you? Imagine whispering your own fearless confession. Imagine the weight it could lift, the healing it could bring, the love it could open up. Sometimes, it only takes a few words to change everything. That's why Johnny's confession lingers. It wasn't just about him. It was about us. It was about all the people who are tired of holding back, tired of running, tired of pretending they don't care. His words remind us that it's okay to want forever. It's okay to trust again. It's okay to love, even after the storm. And maybe that's the real reason we keep coming back to this moment. Because deep down, we all want to believe that forever is possible. That no matter how broken we've been, no matter how guarded we've become, we can still find the courage to open our hearts. Johnny's words make us believe that. They remind us that it's never too late. So if he can stand there, scars and all, and say he's ready for forever, maybe you can too. Maybe today is the day you whisper the words you've been afraid to say. Maybe today is the day you take that step toward trust, toward healing, toward love. And as you think about that, let me ask you this. If you could say one thing to the person you love, without fear, without hesitation, what would it be? Would you ask for forgiveness? Would you admit you're scared? Or would you, like Johnny, finally say you're ready for forever? Because sometimes, the words we hold back are the very words that can set us free.